Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Oh, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. It was a freezing December night in 2013. Young Ethan Parker, just 12 years old, had emptied his piggy bank to buy a Christmas present for his mother. He was in a busy gift store in Hong Kong when suddenly Jackie Chan walked in, and fate took an unexpected turn. Ethan spent months collecting every coin he could find. His mother, Claire, had always been his greatest strength since his father abandoned them when he was a baby. At 34, Claire worked hard, waiting tables during the day and cleaning offices at night to ensure a future for her son. Money was always tight, but Claire never let Ethan feel the strain. With her care and dedication, she turned their small one-bedroom apartment into a real home. Ethan knew how much his mother loved Christmas, although they rarely had the luxury of decorations or presents. But that year, he decided it would be different. He wanted to surprise her with something special, something that would bring back that sparkle in her eye. A few weeks earlier, he had seen her admiring a delicate snowball in a store window. It was one of those that, when shaken, made glittering flakes swirl around a cozy winter scene. Claire looked at the ornament for a few moments before sighing and saying, "Who knows? One day." And that day had finally come. Ethan carefully counted his savings, $17 in total, including 36 coins and a few crumpled bills. With the money firmly in his hands, he ran almost 3 kilometers to the store as soon as he left school. His heart racing, he picked up the snowball and went straight to the cashier, hoping that the price would still be the same as when he had memorized it weeks before, but when he reached the counter, his enthusiasm crumbled. "I'm sorry, kid," said the clerk almost apologetically. "The price went up last week. Now it's $22. Ethan's stomach churned. He emptied his pockets, counting all his coins, but it still wasn't enough. With no other option, he turned around to leave, holding back his tears. That's when a deep voice sounded behind him. "Let me help you with that." Ethan turned around and froze. It was Jackie Chan. Even though he was wearing a cap and a scarf that covered part of his face, he immediately recognized the action movie legend. The attendant also froze, dumbfounded. Jackie stooped down to the boy's height, a warm smile on her face. "Are you buying for someone special?" Ethan nodded shyly. "For my mom. She works a lot, and she loved this snowball when she saw it." Jackie's eyes softened. He stood up and pulled his wallet out of his pocket. "You know what?" he said, handing the cashier a $50 bill. "I'll make sure of it. And the change goes to the boy, okay?" Ethan didn't know what to say. He only managed to mumble a timid, "Thank you." But Jackie wasn't finished yet. "I have a special fondness for dedicated mothers. She sounds incredible." "What's her name?" "Claire," replied Ethan. Jackie smiled even more. "So, Ethan, let's make sure Claire has the best Christmas of her life." He looked around the store for a moment before turning to the boy. "Can I help you choose something else for her?" Ethan blinked, incredulous. "Really?" And so the two of them began to walk down the aisles together. Ethan could hardly believe Jackie's generosity as she asked questions about Claire, about what she liked, and even about the boy's own interests. But as they walked through the store, something started to happen. People began to notice them. Customers whispered among themselves. Some discreetly picked up their cell phones. By the time they reached the checkout again, now with a second gift, an elegant silk scarf which Jackie insisted would go perfectly with Claire, a small crowd had formed. Jackie, however, didn't seem to mind. She paid for everything, handed Ethan the bag, and went back down to talk to him. "Now, promise me something," said Jackie. Ethan nodded quickly. "When you deliver the presents, tell her it's not just from you. Tell her it's from someone who believes she's raised an amazing boy." Ethan's eyes filled with tears as he gripped the bag tightly. "I promise," he whispered. But before Jackie could leave, something unexpected happened. "Hey, Jackie, you're a legend, man," shouted a man in the crowd. The buzz increased, followed by applause and requests for photos. Jackie smiled gently and looked at Ethan. "Do you want to help me get out of here?" she joked, winking at the boy. Before Ethan could reply, a firm voice interrupted him. A woman dressed in an elegant suit approached and pulled Jackie into a corner. The woman in the elegant suit stepped forward and, with a serious but respectful tone, said, "Mr. Chan, can I talk to you for a moment?" Jackie cast a quick glance at Ethan and whispered, "Wait for me here, okay?" The boy watched as the two talked quietly. He couldn't hear what they were saying, but he noticed Jackie's expression change. First, surprise, then a determined look. Then, to Ethan's utter amazement, Jackie turned to him with a determined glint in her eyes. "Ethan," she said with a confident smile, "what do you say we make this day even more special for your mother?" Ethan blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" Jackie let out a light laugh. "You'll see. But I'm going to need your help. What happened next would change Ethan and Claire's lives forever." But at that moment, all the boy knew was that his favorite star had turned that lonely, difficult Christmas into something magical. Jackie bent down again, now with a more serious but still warm expression. "Listen, Ethan," she began. "Sometimes people come into your life just when you need them most. I think this is one of those times. Do you trust me?" Ethan hesitated. He didn't fully understand what Jackie meant, but there was something about his presence that made him feel safe. The woman in the suit, who Ethan would later discover was Jackie's assistant, whispered something again. Jackie nodded slightly and turned his attention to the boy. "Before we go," he said, his tone firm but gentle, "tell me something. What is your mother's biggest dream? What does she want most in the world, and apart from you?" Ethan hesitated. His mother rarely talked about herself. Her whole life revolved around making sure he was okay. But then he remembered something she had mentioned once, late at night, when she thought he was already asleep. "She's always wanted to be a teacher," said Ethan softly. "She loves teaching children, but she never managed to finish college. Because of me." His voice wavered, filled with a twinge of guilt. "She says she has no regrets, but I know she wishes she had." Jackie was silent for a moment, reflecting on what she had just heard. Then she smiled, that smile that made everything seem like it was going to work out. "So let's make this dream come true." Ethan didn't understand exactly what Jackie meant, but before he could ask, the actor took his hand lightly and led him out of the store. By now, the crowd was buzzing. Some were recording with their cell phones, others were calling Jackie by name. But with a quiet gesture, he ignored the attention and kept Ethan protected by his side. As soon as they left, the cold night air touched Ethan's face, and he realized how far he had come from home. "I think I need to go back," he muttered, holding tightly to the bag containing the snowball and the scarf. "My mom will be worried if I take too long." Jackie once again bent down to meet the boy's gaze and looked directly into his eyes. "Do you trust me to get you home safely?" Ethan nodded. Every minute at Jackie's side, he felt safer. Jackie picked up her cell phone, made a quick call, and minutes later, a sleek black car pulled up at the curb. As they drove through the city in the car, Ethan felt comfortable enough to let off steam. He told Jackie about the nights when his mother came home exhausted but still sat beside him reading stories. He talked about how she always smiled, even when life was hard. He talked about the little Christmas traditions they kept alive, like watching old movies together and decorating the same little plastic pine tree they'd had since he was 5. Jackie listened attentively, nodding her head from time to time and asking questions here and there. When Ethan mentioned how much his mother loved the actor's movies, especially The Godfather in Beijing, Jackie let out a soft laugh. "Well, let's see if we can make her next Christmas even more special," he said mysteriously. Finally, the car stopped in front of the building where Ethan lived. Jackie got out with him, following him to the door of the small apartment. Once again, he bent down, handed the bag to the boy, and said, "Remember," said Jackie with a warm smile, "it's not just about the presents. It's about showing your mother how special she is. From what you've told me, she's an extraordinary woman." Ethan nodded, feeling his heart overflow with gratitude. He wanted to say so many things, to thank Jackie, to say how much this moment meant to him. But before he could find the words, Jackie finished. "Oh, and one more thing. I'll be back tomorrow. Tell your mom to book the afternoon." Jackie lightly ruffled Ethan's hair and with a complicit smile walked back to the car, leaving the boy standing at the door, astonished and full of anticipation. Inside the small apartment, Ethan carefully placed the presents under the modest plastic Christmas tree, feeling his heart race with anxiety as he waited for his mother. When Claire arrived, his eyes widened at the sight of the snowball on the table. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice breaking. Her eyes watered as she took the delicate orb in her hands. "How did you get this?" Before the boy could explain, the words simply slipped out of his mouth. "Mom, you have to stay home tomorrow. Someone special is coming?" Claire frowned, puzzled, but smiled. "Ethan, what are you up to?" The boy just gave her a mysterious smile. "You'll see." The next day seemed to drag on, each minute longer than the last. Claire, still confused, decided to stay at home and took the opportunity to organize the small apartment, despite Ethan's attempts to convince her that it wasn't necessary. Then, at exactly 2 p.m, something unexpected happened. Someone knocked on the door. Ethan's heart raced and he rushed to answer it. There, as promised, was Jackie Chan. In one hand, he held a large envelope. In the other, a simple bouquet of white lilies. Claire was paralyzed. Her eyes widened as she recognized the actor standing right there in front of her. "My God," she whispered, putting her hands to her mouth. Jackie smiled warmly and stepped forward. "You must be Claire," she said, her voice gentle. "Ethan has told me a lot about you." She blinked, feeling her cheeks burn with nervousness. "Minus I don't understand what's going on." Jackie handed over the flowers first and then the envelope. "Sometimes, amazing people like you just need a little push." With trembling hands, Claire opened the envelope. Inside, she found a fully completed scholarship form with her name on it, guaranteeing her a place on a teacher training course at a prestigious local university. Enclosed was a letter signed by Jackie himself, offering to cover all the remaining costs: tuition, teaching materials, transportation, and even assistance for Ethan. Claire's legs almost failed her. Silent tears streamed down her face as she looked at Jackie, then at Ethan, who was smiling radiantly. "Minus I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice breaking. Jackie smiled. "Say yes. The world needs more people like you teaching the next generation." Claire pulled Ethan into a tight hug, her tears wetting her son's shoulder. "Thank you," she managed to say, looking at Jackie with genuine gratitude. "I don't know why you're doing this for us, but thank you." Jackie shook her head in denial. "The real hero here is your son. He loves you so much that it's impossible not to want to help." The moment was full of emotion. For a while, the three of them just talked about dreams, challenges, and the unexpected beauty of human kindness. But deep down in Ethan's heart, he knew this was just the beginning of something even bigger. Jackie stayed a little longer that afternoon. She sat at the small kitchen table, accepting the cup of tea that Claire, still dazed, offered her. The apartment was modest, was with peeling walls and secondhand furniture, but there was something there that no amount of money could buy. Warmth, laughter, and true love. Jackie noticed every detail: Ethan's pile of schoolwork on the table, the folded clothes that Claire hadn't put away yet, the small but significant Christmas tree flickering gently in the corner of the room. He took a deep breath and, after a while, said, "You've done an amazing job, Claire." His voice was calm but full of sincerity. "Ethan is proof of that," Claire smiled, despite the tears still streaming down her face. "I just did the best I could," she murmured, her voice slightly shaky. "He's my world." She stopped and looked at the envelope on the table. "But this," she sighed, "this is more than I could have dreamed of. I don't know how to thank you." Jackie leaned back slightly in his chair, crossing his arms thoughtfully. "You don't have to thank me." Then, looking straight into her eyes, he added, "Just promise me one thing. Believe in yourself as much as Ethan does. That will be enough." Jackie's words struck Claire like a thunderbolt. She looked at her son and saw immense pride reflected in his eyes. "I'll try," she whispered. "I really will. I will." Jackie stood up ready to leave, but before he left, he looked at Ethan with a playful smile. "Take good care of your mom, huh?" She's a rare gem." Ethan, feeling his chest fill with pride, nodded firmly. "I promise." Jackie cast one last warm glance at mother and son before disappearing down the corridor like a silent angel. That evening, Ethan and Claire sat together on the sofa, watching the twinkling lights of the little Christmas tree. Claire held the snowball between her hands, turning it gently, watching the golden flakes swirl in the glass like little blessings. She looked at her son and smiled. "Ethan," she murmured, pulling him close, "you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Did you know that?" Ethan nodded, resting his head on his mother's shoulder. "You're the best mother in the world," he whispered. "I just wanted to give you something special." Claire kissed the top of her son's head, feeling her heart overflow with love. "You are my greatest gift every day." The next few days were a real whirlwind. Claire filled in the scholarship application that Jackie Chan had prepared and sent it off, full of hope, but also fear. She wondered if it was real, if, after so many years of struggling just to survive, she could ever really dream again. Then on Christmas Eve, a letter arrived. Sitting at the kitchen table, Claire opened the envelope with trembling hands. Her eyes scanned the text, absorbing every word. It was from the university. She had won a full scholarship. A mixture of laughter and tears escaped her lips as she read and reread the document. "We did it, Ethan," she exclaimed, hugging her son tightly. Ethan's eyes glistened with tears. "I knew you could do it, Mom, but that wouldn't be the only surprise that Christmas." On the morning of December 25th, while they were opening the few packages under the tree, an unexpected sound resounded at the door. A knock. Claire got up to answer it. On the other side, a delivery man was holding a large box wrapped in elegant gift paper. "Delivery for Claire Parker," he announced. Confused, Claire picked up the package and took it inside, opening it with Ethan's help. Inside, she found a brand new laptop, a pile of textbooks, and a handwritten note. The note read, "Claire, every great teacher needs the right tools. I know you'll make a difference. Believe in yourself. Merry Christmas, Jackie." With the letter pressed to her chest and tears streaming down her face, Claire felt Ethan hug her tightly, both of them overwhelmed with gratitude at such generosity. Over the next few months, Claire plunged headlong into her studies, balancing classes, work, and caring for Ethan. It wasn't easy. There were exhausting nights, moments of insecurity, and days when she doubted whether she would really make it. But every time she thought about giving up, her gaze fell on the snowball on the shelf, a reminder of that unforgettable day and the man who believed in her. Jackie never contacted them directly again, but the impact of her attitude created a wave of transformation that would propel them forward for many years. 2 years later, Claire graduated as a teacher and got a job at a local elementary school. Ethan, now in high school, witnessed his mother become the woman he always knew she could be. Self-assured, strong, and inspiring. Many years later, as Claire taught a group of second graders to read, her mind went back to that freezing December afternoon. She remembered the gesture of a stranger who saw her value when she herself couldn't see it. And every Christmas, when she and Ethan put up the tree, they always put the snowball on top. It became an eternal symbol of hope, love, and the power of believing in others. This was Claire and Ethan's emotional journey and how a simple act of generosity changed their lives forever. Now I want to know, what did you think of this story? Do you believe that small gestures can create a domino effect and transform lives? Leave your opinion in the comments. I can't wait to hear what you think. And if this story has touched you, don't let it stop here. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message of hope. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories about empathy and overcoming. Want to feel even more emotion? Click on one of the videos on the screen to discover another unforgettable story. See you in the next video.